Hi and welcome back to the set. I'm CCP Mimic and you are watching the third and very unfortunately final day of Fanfest. And we just saw I guess it was the art panel, which was absolutely spectacular. I was just saying backstage that one of my favorite things about that is if you can see the pictures up close and looking at all the tiny little details, that's when you get to see the actual ships that they've put in the pictures, and it's awesome. Absolutely fun. Anyway, let's get on to actually talking about something interesting rather than me just blabbing on about things that you guys have already seen. I am joined by Reload, my fellow Eve TV host, and of course you, Rain, who is also a past fellow host. Yeah. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. I'm actually really excited to be here. I had seen the set multiple times, but I think this is the first time I'm actually on TV. I think I was over there too when you guys were doing player shout-outs. That was really cool, like a interesting addition, so it's exciting.
And how has your FanFest been?
Amazing, as usual. I don't know if you can tell, I'm kind of losing my voice. So
it's okay, we all are, it's fine.
We had the pub crawl last night, and so that was amazing. You go out and meet a lot of people, but there's a lot of people and there's music, so you have to yell to talk to people. So it ends up like people losing voices, everyone's just getting sick because there's so many nerds from all over the world, but it's totally worth it. I love it. I think everyone should come out to FanFest. I don't know if you guys can have a convention center big enough, but it'd be amazing.
Yeah, maybe not for everyone, but yeah. Or we can just do it every week and then we can cycle through people. I think it's fun. I can't see anything wrong with that. Yeah.
It'd be like an endless party. It'd be so much fun.
With every new release, right? Every new release, there's a party. Everybody comes to Iceland.
Okay. Yeah. Every 5 weeks, yeah.
That'll be good.
Sure. No. Anyway, we're here to talk about streaming, seeing as you two are both streamers. You're also a YouTuber.
Yeah.
But tell us about that.
Streaming?
Tell us. Okay, no. Let's start from the beginning, not just as broad a topic as that. Let's talk about EVNT, which is the channel that you stream on. And how did you first get involved with them?
So EVNT had been doing tournaments and real life meetups for a while, and I started out as just kind of like handing out prizes. So I was in charge of just like taking like names in Twitch chat and being like, okay, so these people answered the question right, so you get, like a ship or a skin or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of worked my way up into doing commentary, and then Nash appointed me as I think my official title is like content director of like the EVNT TV channel. So I just gather a bunch of streamers together and I say, hey, when do you guys want to stream? What do you want to stream? Because we have EVE-only related content. And so I set them all up, give them stream keys, let them go at it. So we just have, I think it's like 35 or more hours a week of EVE content that we have, both Valkyrie and EVE Online. So
very impressive, and it takes a lot to get everybody into the schedule. Certainly when you're first setting it up in the first place, and for 35 hours, that's a lot of content.
Yeah, and it's because you have to be careful with like streaming, because if somebody goes a little too long, then somebody has to start late, and so everything kind of gets pushed and shifted. Or when there's so we had the Twitch versus EVE event, which Reload was
Friday.
on, and so we had. That went on for like 6 hours, and so one guy had to actually like kind of get kicked off the schedule, but he was like, no, you guys are doing amazing stuff, like keep it going, I can't compete with this. So he was like encouraging us to continue. So I want to say it's like herding cats, but a lot of the EVNT streamers are super helpful. They're very easygoing, so it's not really herding cats at all. They're super easy to work with, and I love them. So.
And do you guys have any plans to grow, or do you think that this is a good, manageable amount of content?
Oh, we're always looking for more streamers. So if people want to reach out to me, my Twitter handle's @ChocolateRain, spelled not like the rain falling. but yeah, so we're always looking for more. I mean, it's obviously it gets more complicated the more people you add, but we're willing to work with that. So.
Okay. And how did you first get into streaming?
Well, I was doing YouTube content for a while, and then when Twitch became more prominent and YouTube gaming became a live channel as well, I decided, why not try? Mainly because I could talk one-on-one with my subscribers, my viewers. It's a bit of a more personal relationship, other than putting on content that is pre-recorded, which is also fun. But you get to invite people to be on your fleets, to fly with you, and it's just a very cool interaction with other EVE Online players.
And now, how do you... that's very true, but I've always wondered, how do you guys decide what you're going to do? You just going to
it's a very
get
good
in
question.
the ship and off you go?
It's
What
I was gonna say it's probably like a mix of both. Like I know you do organized fleets.
Yes.
Which is, you know, you say, hey, we're meeting up here at this time, bring the ship. And then, but I also know, like, for me, it's more of just like, I'm going to log in today and play, so I might as well stream it as well. I know you do that sometimes
Sometimes too, yeah.
Just kind of like wing it or something exciting happens, so you just kind of make it up as you go. Yeah.
But don't you find that then makes it difficult to predict how long you're going to be streaming for? Or you're just like, oh, well, I'll just...
Till we're done.
switch off
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes,
Okay.
yeah.
Because like having a work life, like a normal work life, so I know eventually at some point I have to go to bed. But like on the weekends, it's like, you know, I can stream for 2 hours. If something's not really happening, I can stop. Or if like something exciting is happening, I can stream for 8 hours. So you just
That's a long time.
Yeah, one of those things that the longer you stream, the more viewers you get. And then it's very tough to stop the stream because new people come in, you get more viewers, you feel excited, you want to play more. All of a sudden, oh no, it's close to midnight. Let's start ramping it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Gotta get up and go
Yeah,
to work
yeah,
tomorrow.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the viewers make it the most interesting, the people in chat or the people watching.
Yep.
Because sometimes, you know, it's Eve, like sometimes stuff just doesn't happen for hours.
Oh, yeah.
But you can sit and talk, or like, you know, people will say, oh, let's just go on a fleet, or oh, you should come over to this space and, you know, do this or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the interactive part is super good.
It helps a lot because EVE is not an easy game to stream. Everybody knows that. You have to look out for content. You might spend 3 hours just roaming around space. So interaction with your viewers is very important. That's what keeps the stream alive and keeps the whole interaction going.
Yeah.
But also, like you were saying, when getting to know your viewers and your community, I guess that level of interaction then adds a whole nother layer, and
for sure,
you get to
for
know
sure.
everybody. And now you have your followers. Now you have your group, your community. And okay, that's interesting. Sorry, words are hard today.
Did you go out on the pub crawl last day?
Yes, until
She
about
did.
4:30.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
okay.
That's okay. It's okay.
Chocolate Rain, could you tell us a little bit about hosting EVE Vegas? You were on the stream then,
yes.
right?
Yeah, and that's a whole nother ball game because like it's more of because you're on a stream, but you can't see chat, and so you just have to interact with the
It's
people there.
different, yeah.
Yeah, and so I know I like interviewed like Max Singularity. I think it was CCP Marker, and so you just kind of have to have those conversations, and then but it has to be good enough and appropriate enough for a stream, while also being interesting at the same time. So
It's a very different event than Fanfest. It's
Yeah.
Have you been to Vegas?
Never been. How different is it? Yeah.
So
It's
FanFest is more
crazy.
like content, so like the releases, the upcoming hype, etc. Whereas like Vegas is more of like every night's a party and everyone's drinking. So they have beer here at FanFest, but you don't see people walking around with beer. Whereas at Vegas, I feel like everyone always has alcohol, and people who don't drink are more than welcome at every event, and that's perfectly acceptable. But like I feel Vegas as though it's more like party scene and like etc. Whereas here it's more like what's content is being released, and there's a lot more to walk in Iceland, and then like the scenery is very nice, so there's a lot more to do. Whereas Vegas, everyone just kind of stays in the hotel, and
There's also, it's almost impossible to get out of any of the casinos. They build them in such a way that you just get completely lost.
It's a maze, right?
Yeah.
It's madness.
And Planet Hollywood, they painted the inside of the mall part like the sky. So you'll be walking around.
You
you're
think
like,
you're outside, huh?
Yeah, so you're like, wow, it's kind of bright here. Are we outside? And no, it's literally the ceiling.
I was sitting in a restaurant having dinner with on one night when we had a bit of a break, and they had a fake thunderstorm outside. They like dimmed the lights a bit, and there was a bit of thunder. You're like, we're inside. I don't even know how far underground we are. We're just there's no way out.
Vegas is
ever.
kind of like a virtual reality, right? You're
It
kind of
was
inside,
insane.
but you feel like you're in a fantasy land.
Yeah. I mean, both are fun, different experiences, but both are amazing.
Yeah.
So the parties are more hardcore than Iceland. I think if I go, I have to prepare myself like half a year in advance to actually handle that.
I found it really full on and very tiring, but also it was just a lot of work. It was a very small team on ETV, so thank you so much for being a part of that and helping with it. But yeah, I think now that I've been there once, I think going back would be. It's a little bit easier. You know where things are. You know where the fire exit is, just in case.
Just in case, yeah.
But yeah, and they're crazy carpets, which are just Luckily, that's never quite in the shot because you can't do
their
anything else.
carpets.
It just tires your eyes. There's so much going on everywhere you look. There's lights and noise and people you
And
haven't
slot
seen in
machines
ages.
and- yeah,
So
Yeah.
much, and this crazy carpet wherever you go as well. So
It's not
very
pretty to
strange.
look at.
it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay. It's there. It's fine to ignore. But yeah. Have you? I take it you must be a regular at the Toronto meets.
You know what? I honestly never been. I would love to visit. I always plan it, but then something comes in and it all falls apart. But I believe they meet every last Saturday of the month. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Whoever is on the eve meet, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But these Toronto meet, they meet very regularly. It's a very good bunch of people.
Yeah, it's usually about every month, every
Yes.
6 weeks. Yeah, which is great. And do you have any regular stuff where you are? I can't remember where in the world you are.
Iowa is very like remote. So I do believe they do like Chicago. There was like a Chicago meetup recently, and then a Minneapolis meetup, which neither are in Iowa, but you know they're like within reasonable driving distance for an
Yeah.
American. But we did the actual. I think it was just the Iowa meetup in August. I don't know if it was Iowa meetup or like a Des Moines meetup, but it was in Des Moines, which is the capital of Iowa. So I actually drove there, met like a friend from high school, and then there were like 10 to 20 people around, and it was the I think it's Clueless Space Nerds, but they do a podcast. So we met on Friday, had a bunch of drinks, hung out, and then on Saturday they all went back to their place and they actually streamed the podcast as well as recorded the podcast to release.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, a lot of fun. And then everybody together. I'm bringing that up because, I mean, we
Yeah.
talk about player gatherings, but it's something that I love hearing about all the smaller ones that start and become something bigger.
Of course.
Just like Vegas
Yeah.
did. Or as we saw in the opening ceremony, just like Fanfest did.
Fanfest, yeah. It started out with just a few people, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think CCP Guard said that there were 140 in the beginning, which is a lot.
It's pretty good.
To convince to come all the way
Yeah.
to this
Yeah.
frozen rock in the middle of nowhere.
But that might be actually a selling feature. I mean, how often do you get to go to Iceland and experience this beautiful country? It's
It's true.
one of the opportunities to come here.
And everyone always asks, oh, what's the best time to visit? And they're like, oh, in the summer or this. And everyone's like, oh, I was thinking of going in March. And you're like, no, the weather's terrible. Don't do that. But I think also that for most people, the idea of Iceland is so exotic and so far away that coming here and being blasted almost sideways by icicles and rain and water and this terrible wind that won't stop, regardless of which direction you work on the
Yeah.
street.
Yeah.
That's also a novelty and that's part of the fun. Maybe it also makes it feel better when you go home and you're like, oh, my holiday's ended, but I don't have to deal with the weather anymore.
That's
I've never heard people say that before. That's a very interesting take on a
I just-
vacation.
Maybe. I always get really sad when I'm not on holiday anymore. I'm usually visiting friends or going somewhere where it's sunny rather than this. It's like, oh, I'm not on holiday. But if you've gone somewhere where the weather's been terrible, then maybe it's
Yeah.
not so bad.
One thing that people ask me when they say they want to come to Iceland in summer, say if you want to go to winter, actually you will get to see northern lights because it's very
That's
rare
true.
opportunity to see it in the summer.
Have you seen the Northern Lights here yet?
Yes, 2 years ago though,
Oh.
not this year yet.
So flying in, I saw the Northern Lights. I was like peeking out the window. I'm like, what is that green
Wow.
stuff? It looks so different from the plane than
Of
it
course.
does from the
Sure,
ground.
it would.
And then here, CCP Carker was telling me, she's like, well, if it's not cloudy, you might be able to see them because
Yeah.
apparently they've been active
There
recently.
was really, really strong lights the Monday and Tuesday
Yeah.
last week. But then, of course, the clouds came in. I didn't see them, but a bunch of CCPers have photos and often go out and looking, yeah.
And so that's like, I think that's one of the coolest things is
Yeah.
trying to see the Northern Lights, of course, if the weather cooperates. But
But yeah, sometimes it does.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. And
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's
yeah, thank you.
absolute pleasure. And I am trying to remember what's next, but can't for the life of me remember what's on the schedule. I can remember a bunch of roundtables that are happening, but that's
I
not
think I
what's
was-
going to be
yeah.
on the stream.
I think-
Anyway,
Probably
it's a
roundtables
surprise
next.
for everyone. Hooray! So I hope you enjoy whatever's coming up. I'm sure you will. Yes. Thank you. The voices in my head have spoken to me.
The voices.
And it is, yes. This is going to be the Valkyrie presentation where they go through what they have planned for the year ahead, or the year coming. And they're also going to be looking a bit more into Ground Rush, I believe, which is the expansion that they spoke about, which is coming next week. So enjoy if you are a Valkyrie fan or not and want to become a Valkyrie fan. We'll see you in a bit.